can't I use water instead of coolant?
Because one, most radiators are aluminum, made of aluminum. And apart from that, water has a low boiling point as compared to coolant. And then water at 100 degrees Celsius, when it reaches its boiling point, it starts to evaporate. The moment it starts to evaporate, what it means is that water in there would reduce. And when it reduces, what it means is that there will be too much heat inside the engine, and then the engine oil loses or shares excessive amount of viscosity, then it damages the engine.
Can you give me the difference between a coolant and antifreeze?
There's no difference between coolant and antifreeze. The additive used in, or the chemical used in formulating coolant or antifreeze is the same. It's called glycol, which is a very popular one. And then what it is that glycol has a very high boiling point, and then it has a very low freezing point. And so antifreeze, because during the winter times, it's actually going to be able to lower the freezing point of the coolant, thereby the name the antifreeze. And then it has a boiling point higher than that of water, which is, water is 100 degrees Celsius. So the glycol is able to take it, mixed with water, is able to take it further than the 100 degrees Celsius. By that time, then the cooling process, or the fan starts to engage, cools the whole coolant again, then the process starts again.
So if I'm to go by your analogy, are they the same?
There's no difference between coolant and an antifreeze.
Just semantics?
Yes, just places with winter and cold, they will call it antifreeze because they need the antifreeze part more than the hot operating temperature part. And then in our part of the world where it really gets hot and we don't have need for antifreeze, we use the coolant.
To the ordinary driver on the road right now,
yes,
he may pose the question that, what's the big deal here?
So the big deal is that apart from the cooling effects of coolants, they have corrosion inhibitors. And like I stated earlier, most radiators are made of aluminum, so that when it heats up, it's able to expand. But then it has a downside that when you use water, it corrodes the material and then starts to damage the radiator. And so apart from coolants having the cooling effect, the glycol being able to raise the boiling point, it has to have corrosion inhibitors. And inhibitors are put in there to be able to reduce the rate at which there will be corrosion inside the radiator.
Yep.
And so based on the material that a manufacturer is using to build his radiator, that goes into the formulation of the coolant.
You get to any service station and you have one coolant there, and they'll tell you that it's good to go.
Which for every car?
Works for every car.
No, so I would show you this. Even one manufacturer can have about 5 different coolants for several engines. So a typical one is this one. This is for VW. This it says G13, and then this is for VW again, and then it says G12.
From the same manufacturer.
But different coolant. So if the manufacturer of the car says that he has different coolant formulations for his type of cars, how then does somebody who didn't build a car say that I have one coolant and it works for your Benz, it works for your Toyota, it works for your BMW? It's misleading. And there are different types of coolants. There is the organic technology coolant, and then there's traditional technology coolant, and then there's a hybrid technology coolant. But here in Ghana, people will choose coolant based on the color. The color is put there because glycol is a poison, and so it has to be dyed, so people would not actually misconstrue it for water, because it has properties just like water, because it is colorless. And then two, the dye is good for the cars to aid in leakage detection.
So it's deliberate.
It's deliberate, but it is not the quality or what makes the coolant the coolant. It is just a dye to help us see that this is a leakage. Exactly.